deserves a lot of space. It deserves a lot of care and a lot of intention. And for me, in order for me to bring that, I need to have been really giving myself a lot of self-care and self-love.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of practices to kind of fill my cup in that way. And that's number one. And I think, once you've done that work, once you know what the output is and what the level of production involved is, it doesn't mean that I have to be chaotic, high energy producer. I don't think that's necessary. I think that's the story we've told ourselves about how we work. Intentional work and work that you really love to do.
It's funny because when I coach and work with teams, it's like busy doesn't mean productive.
No.
I think that's a really common thread that we tell each other, that we need to be busy to be worth something.
Yeah.
That and I think the magazine, which really grounds people, it's almost a grounding tool. That we actually don't. Like, there's a high quality that can be done with a high amount of space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this magazine is a real invitation for you to slow down and to invest time, both in the format, obviously, the long form conversation, but also I think the intention that we bring to it as a team. I hope that is felt.
Yeah, and in reflection, it's really interesting that you answer in that way, which is really beautiful, because the energy of you guys, the 4-5 of you creating this magazine, potentially if there's high stress, that will show up in the magazine. And you definitely don't want that.
Exactly. And I really can see, the occasional day where I have been really thrown off by, there are other business kind of demands that I report to. And so if there is something like that really kind of takes my attention away and kind of unsettles me, and that's natural. That's what happens in our working lives. There's there's something going on in a working relationship that isn't quite feeling right. I can see in my editing that day, or in the kind of way that I'm curating the magazine, that it's being affected, and that needs to be. I need to be able to be aware of when that's happening, so that I can pull back and say, all right, today's not the day where you're going to write a piece or you're going to edit a piece, or actually be involved in the magazine at all. Yeah. Today's the day when you might be doing research, or you might be looking at other aspects of the business, because
and I gather that outcome, that decision, needs the space and self-awareness to make it.
The self-awareness, awareness is everything.
Yeah, that's it.
Because some people might not be able to notice that they're in a pretty heightened, chaotic state.
No.
And just still do the work anyway.
Yeah.
And then that's felt on the other side in the output.
Definitely, and that could be 3 weeks down the path, for instance, and then there's a lot of work that's been done in that 3 weeks, and shifts in culture happen really quickly. So, one thing I wanted to... Do you still write, Nathan, as well?
I don't write a lot. I write the kind of editorial, the upfront part of the magazine, and that's about all, which I'm ashamed to say at the moment. But the classic editor who never gets enough time to write and wants to be writing more.
And what I'm interested in is the research that you do, not just on the people that you're interviewing, but like, what's your lens globally to similar magazines, similar content, similar startups that are doing really good things, whether it's in Europe or US? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, so we work really closely. We have a few content partners, I would say, that we kind of watch and we share content with and share ideas with, and they all come from the States mostly. Yep. So there's Conscious Company magazine.
Yep.
And they really have that business lens, so that's where that kind of economy filter comes through.
Yep.
And there is On Being. I don't know if you know this podcast, On Being, with Krista Tippett. Really incredible, beautiful media organisation they are now, and they have a website as well. But the podcast is essentially 1 hour conversations with people who have an investment in spiritual, in enriching spiritual life. And they ask kind of big questions of meaning, what it means to be human and what it means to live a fulfilling life. And she's like one of the greats, without a doubt. And we've been lucky to form a relationship with Krista, and we are always constantly inspired by the work that comes out of that organisation. So,
and I notice from an environmentalist perspective, there's a lot of good stuff that coming out of Europe at the moment. Do you stretch your lens out there, just to, even if it's just a search on the web, as opposed to just keeping an eye out, or do you sort of stay focused?
No, I'm always open to, what other... We're talking about media publishing.
Yeah, or if it's a documentary or just something that's around change.
I think we need to keep our lens as expand and wide as possible. And it's easy to kind of hone in. Even as consumers, it's easier to hone in on the kind of media content that we're consuming, and you know, I can fall into that trap as well. You know, only consuming on-being content or brain pickings, which is Maria Popova's beautiful blog. You know, these kinds of questions about what it means to be a meaningful life. I'm very attracted to this kind of storytelling and this kind of journalism. And so, and then I have to be reminding myself, all right, you're only getting, you know, one slice of the picture, and how do you keep it a bit more expansive and keep abreast with what else is happening, what other changes happening in the world?
We've only got so many hours in a day. And we become consumed with the norm, and then when we want to stretch, we find it hard to do that because everything's become so insular. And that's what, you know, again, it's back to the thread of the conversation we're having at the moment, is that need for space. That need for space to be able to allow something new to come in, because if you don't have that, nothing will come in. If the cup's full and overflowing, good stuff's going to tip out.
Totally.
The idea is to have some level or some space in the cup for new stuff to come in and be able to absorb it and use it.
It's very true.
So, I think that's really important. And what you're saying is your well-being and how you do that for yourself. Again, connecting to that self-awareness to know I'm pretty full. What do I need to do to empty a little bit so I can be spacious enough for something else to come in?
Which then makes the magazine, you know, more abundant as well, because, you know, there might be new ideas that our readers hadn't considered either.
How important is the look of the magazine, like the pastels and the colour, and, you know, like, what's that process? Are you involved in that as well?
Well, our art director does all of the visuals, but I do work very closely with him to, you know, define the aesthetic of the magazine. And, you know, I would say that there is a very superficial way that you can consume Dumbo Feather, and I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I would love everyone to read it from cover to cover, every single word. There's a lot of content in this magazine, and I understand that you can't experience it like that with, like you said, the amount of hours we have in a day. But we are very conscious to create a beautiful magazine that is evocative of human spirit and human nature and human contribution, with a lot of beauty, because we celebrate beauty here. You know, we're in this incredible space here, the White House. You know, it's very intentional with.
It's amazing. You walk in and there's the trees overlapping,
and this incredible garden, and, you know,
and even to the. Which I love, because it's the detail, and again, it's the magazine, it's the detail, but it's the pictures in here, and it's the who gives a crap toilet paper that's in the toilet. This is the real deal. It's not just we've got, you know, the average toilet paper and the non-organic stuff. It's, you know, it's the walk in the why.
Yeah, exactly. And the beauty is really important for me personally, and I think other people share this. You know, when you're around an aesthetic that kind of opens your heart, that's where spaciousness comes in, and that's where you're inspired as well. And so that's integral to Dumbo Feather. You know, we always have a featured artwork to open the magazine, so you know, you're not suddenly being hit with an advertisement, which is traditional kind of magazine format. The first double page spread you read will be an ad, but we don't want people to feel that. We want to open the imagination and the spiritual imagination.
And see value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think art is one of the most important things we have, and we need to reclaim that to be able to keep inspiring creativity and new ways of thinking about the world. And so you can consume the magazine that way, because, you know, we have beautiful full bleed pictures and photos, and we always commission, every photo shoot is commissioned, so it's to our style, so it has that documentary feel about it. So even if there are only 2 or 3 photos, you still feel like you've got a really good insight into this person's life. And then, you know, we have the beautiful pull quotes, so you can kind of flick through and just kind of see a great quote of inspiration and still feel like you've been filled
that's right,
by the magazine when you read it that way.
I remember a beautiful saying, I forget who said it, because I've got to go back and look it up, but it's like time's not money, time is art. And it's like the meaning was like, the time we've got is, the time we have is an ability to be art and show our art. And our art might be whatever it is, but that's what time is. It's not money. Like, money's an object, but art's our display of who we are.
Oh, that's incredible.
And I love that.
Yeah,
because
me too.
It's so true that, you know, what we do in that time's what matters, not what we make or you know, collect. And I really like that. And I think it's, again, back to the magazine, it speaks to that ability, and it can sit on a coffee table for a couple of months and sit comfortably.
Yeah.
That's the bit that I think it holds a place really strong within our house, and you're invited to pick it back up.
Yeah.
Not that it's done, like I'm done because I've read an article, or I'm done because it's been there a week and it needs to go.
Yeah.
That it can sit there.
Yeah, I mean, that's another, you mentioned before, what do we think about more our values when we're putting the content together? It has to feel timeless, I want you to still be able to pick up a magazine that you bought 5 years ago and still feel like there's something in it that you can take on board. So we're not responding directly to the news of the time or the zeitgeist, although, that happens as well. But even if we are responding to the zeitgeist, we're still exploring it in a way where there's universal kind of resonance and value that's emerging from it.
And what about the footer of the magazine? And I love this because it's my favourite part of the magazine.
Yeah.
It just says pass it on.
Yeah.
Which I love because it's like, don't tell anyone to buy another one. Let's just use this copy. Yeah. And it's not fetching for more sales necessarily. It's just share. Share.
Yeah. If you believe in this content as much as we do, give it to someone who you think could find it valuable or could help them in some way. So, yes, we like I said, we're creating a culture of generosity and abundance. We want to share this content and get it out as much as we can. We still want people to buy the magazine and to subscribe, of course, so we can nourish that community of readers and grow that community of readers. But yes, please do pass it on.
But yeah, the details, the realness, and I'd love, again, another part that I pick up, and I think other companies really need to look at this, and it's going to become more apparent. But your decision-making process to how you go about who can sponsor the book, like who advertises within the book, and making sure that they fit the book's look and feel, and that you could probably go after more money and money in companies that maybe aren't as aligned, but it seems to hold pretty true. There's like a Patagonia, or there's someone in there that's
Australian Ethical.
That's there. Yeah. Like, how does that work for you guys? Like, what's that look like?
So our commercial manager has partnership values that she has to adhere to when she's bringing new business into the organisation. And I'm sure she would love those values to be a lot broader.
Yeah,
to make her life a lot easier, to make more money, and to make money a lot easier. It's a real challenge.
But there's a fine line, isn't it, with the magazine between how much do you want to make and what do you want to do, and when do you tip over that you're not selling out, but you're sort of you're going to take. I think it could only take one slip through the net. It's like that. That's not a line to.
No, people feel it. People will let us know if they think that is not there's not an alignment there, and we have to respect our community of readers who. Want us. Well, they want us as much as we want to be supporting businesses that we think are doing good in the world, and we can't really slip up there.
I'd love to get your lens, because I gather you might not be directly involved, but you'd see this a lot, and potentially with some of the podcasts you're mentioning, it's like, how do you hold the tension between whether it's a spiritual business or it's an ethical business, but holding as you mentioned, your first measure, it's a financial. Like, you still need to be able to make a financial profit, or else there is no, whether it's a meditation studio or whether it's a magazine, like, without money there is none. Like, how do you see that playing out, that tension that you hold?
It's really challenging. And when you're bringing new business, when you're finding partners who are doing meaningful work in the world, the reality is a lot of them are startups. They don't have a lot of money, right?
That's
it.
We
can't get the investment from them that we need. So it is a constant tension, and it's one that we talk about a lot, and we're shifting away from that advertising model of doing a magazine. I mean, that's the only outcome for us. We need to really be moving towards a subscription-based model for the magazine, where most of our revenue comes from subscriptions, because the reality is we can't sustain ourselves with businesses who are doing work that we care about in the world from their sponsorship.
And again, because you're only getting 4 magazines a year, so there's only 4 sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are other, they can sponsor other parts of the work we do, our EDMs or our website. So there are other platforms for them to be involved in, but it's small. So one way we're really working on that, especially throughout 2019, is to go hard on building our subscriber base and making more asks of our community to support us by buying a magazine, buying a subscription. We need you to help sustain this model. And we understand that a magazine is a luxury item and it might not be at the top of your list of needs. But if you believe in the work that we're doing and you want to keep seeing us in the world, then we do need your support. That's the best way that people can support us, is to become a subscriber.
Beautiful. Before we go, Nathan, I'd love to... Like, what do you see the big shifts